Drum roll. Welcome to the
Liberated Minds podcast. Welcome everyone to the Liberated Minds show. My name is Claudio. I'm here again with my great friends Johnny and Adam. It's a pleasure to have you guys both here again
Yes.
today.
Thank you.
And today we'll be discussing, I believe, modern day dating. And I would like to hear you guys' thoughts on the subject. So I'm really looking forward to today.
Likewise. Thanks for having us.
Well,
A little ironic, but considering where we at
cool.
in our secret location.
So let's start right off. What do you look for in a... Sorry, I'm just quickly having a look at the notes, but it's fine. What do you look for when you choose... Okay.
You can make it bigger, man.
Sure,
You can just
sure.
enlarge the whole text and then you have access to it throughout the whole thing.
We'll then flow.
Just command plus.
So today's topic of discussion is something that which usually takes up so much of people's brain power. I know it does for a lot of guys. It does for me, which is generally women in general. It's a lot in my mind, and it's probably because it happens especially when you're not in a relationship, when you're single, and you so often you're just thinking about girls. Because why? There's a void there, so you're trying to fill that void. You're trying to fill that space. So
Sure.
it's quite interesting. So I'd like to just start off by asking, putting up an open question. So what do you look for when you choose who you choose? What do you look for in a girl when you choose who you choose?
And I guess we're talking primarily now about a partner or a serious girlfriend.
So yeah, on a long-term
Mhm.
basis. What do you look for when you're on a long-term basis? Yeah. Who would like to go first?
Well, I guess if you define it in that way, so I guess you also have to imply the notion of a family, maybe, wife material in a way.
Okay, interesting.
So would you imply what would you consider a wife material? That would be, I think, a good question to ask.
That is a very good question, actually, because do you think that's subjective?
Well, I think it's subjective in many ways, but also it builds upon some biological features, needs that we have evolved with, right? Like having a mother. What would be good qualities for a mother, right? You don't even think about it much, but you look at it when you look for a wife.
Yeah.
Is she honest? Is she kind-hearted? Is she truthful? Is she relaxed? Can she be caring in a shifting and uncertain environment without being too much hectic? Or, well, maybe it's not a good word, because all of us react differently in different situations, right? It's not about categorization here. But I think generally, personally, I would be looking for somebody who knows how to step into life without the need for external validation and being comfortable in her own sense of self. And for every person it means different things, right? Because you don't have to be an achiever. In a guy's mindset, when we're comfortable, it usually means we're achieving. For a woman, it might be different in many ways. Being comfortable means reading a book on a Sunday, just being relaxed with life, knowing how to flow. We can dive into the topic of femininity and masculinity, but it's a large topic of discussion. But yeah, truthfulness, honesty, and I think in that sense, it's mostly it's not subjective, it's objective. For many of us, we resonate in the same frequency. We need those qualities to be in our partner for us to see in them a potential for a long-term thing. When there's a red flag involved and we notice that they're lying on small things, automatically trust is broken.
Yeah.
So building trust is a huge step on this journey.
Sure. Well, transparency in general is very important in the relationship. If you're unable to be transparent, essentially you're not being yourself, right? It's essentially what you're doing. You're hiding your true self. And if you're hiding your true self, well, then there's a huge energy blockage there. It's very difficult to build from there. It's so yeah, transparency is a major thing.
Mm-hmm.
Otherwise, you're having a relationship with someone in your mind who's not real, or it's with a projected image. It's yeah. So
Yeah, and I think there's some nuance in there because projection is such a subtle element that comes out often in relationships, and we're quite blind to it, to be honest. But I would like to expand upon what Adam already said. So I do think that, of course, the sexual compatibility with the partner. So if you go out on a date, if there has to be this chemistry, this feeling, this play, this intuition that compatibility is kind of on an intuitive level. You don't have to try too hard. I think that's a clear marker for me.
I think it also touches upon the notion of communication, because communication is not just by words, right? There's a lot of gradations to communication.
The subtle communication, and the trust. Essentially, if I see that a person is trustworthy, but the other capacity is the capacity for growth and the curiosity, the capacity to hold different belief systems that what she's used to. So I'll just give an example, right? If it's a feminine activist, or on the other side, someone who's been conditioned to follow the path that her mother or father or some form of imprint, she's acting out of that imprint, conditional imprint, without having awareness towards it or willingness to test it or willingness to work on her own trauma. For me, that's a red flag. I mean, and we'll talk about red flags, I'm sure, but for me, these are the inherent qualities. Are you curious? Are you open-minded? Do we have sexual compatibility? And will we be able to work through communication to co-evolve?
Yeah. So the thing with the red flag is that it's sometimes it can be taken out of context, but it's definitely what you mentioned is definitely a limitation that will generally cause problems down the line. I've found that to be so in my experience anyway. Because I think obviously we're given a set of cards. We're dealt a set of cards at birth, right? And we're given limitations. And if you're not willing to overcome those limitations, if you're not willing to grow, if you're not, then it becomes a problem.
In the Hindu tradition, what we call karma and dharma.
Yes.
So evolving or being able to, first of all, realize that there are these forces at play, the karmic echoes or blind spots, essentially. And there is also a path for us to evolve into or evolve through.
It's also interesting that you mentioned sexual compatibility as the first. You think that's I'm obviously, of course, sex is majorly important in a relationship, and we know that. But how important is it in fact?
I think a major assumption or a belief system that people walk into the dating world, at least from my observation, is that they come with a feeling of either they're scarred, and then they come with a certain generalized belief about women or men. But let's even talk about someone who's just looking for his first partner and he's just opening up the gates. I find that either people take it into a complete kind of distorted, shallow game, like there is an abundance, so I'm just going to try everything. Or they come out with a feeling of lack, like, oh, what's the likelihood that I'll meet someone, this and that, and then they limit the set of options. And if you just run an exercise in your mind, you think, well, how many women or men, I mean, we're just three men here, so we talk about, heterosexual, we talk only about women, but we can also talk about the other side. But just in our case, like, take the total amount of women in the world, divided by 10, so 1 to 10, whatever, you get the and it's not evenly distributed, but just for the sake of the example, the sample size of women who would fit your category or your Venn diagram would probably be in the hundreds of thousands, if not in the millions globally. So when you just so that's just a nice starting point to go into dating from, instead of thinking, oh, what's the likelihood of meeting someone, and then still having those subtle projections. What if you come out with a wide funnel and you say, well, let's see what comes in, and you let reality do its thing in generating that event. And that's just a notion that I find funny, because and of course there's so many reasons for lack of intimacy or lack of being able to find a coherent partner, which I'd love to touch on, but it's one of those main like assumptions or beliefs that there's just not enough, when in reality we're, biology is doing its thing, we're close to 50-50. And
I think it's a really good point to examine sometimes we have this bias when dating or when looking for a partner. It's as though there is destiny involved. It's I'm gonna meet the one, my other half sort of thing. But you're right. I mean, it's not a one-to-one fit. Like, there are many girls who will fit you in many different ways, and I think it's a big portion of it is, as we've already discussed on this show, is the work that you put into yourself. I love the sentence of, the only thing you can do for me is work on yourself. The only thing I can do for you is work on myself. So it's true. That's how you build this trust, this communication.
So what if we? I'm sorry to interrupt. What if we pose this as a question? So what if we break down components of the components of a healthy relationship? So we said sex. We said open communication. We said, of course, curiosity or desire for self-growth and expansion. Anything else you'd like to add to that?
Actually, I do have something I would like to add. Like these things can be present, but how important is it actually? Like, I think that for me, there is another element which is fundamentally more important, because we can have all our lists, we can have an entire list, and these things are important to us for sure, no doubt. But I think I am more of the belief of soul ties. When it comes to long-term relationship, I'm more of, like you mentioned, destiny as well. So soul ties and destiny. And when that is presented to you in your reality, those things are less important. And they may be present or they may not. I'm not entirely sure. But
this is, I would say that for the major part of our viewers, it's not such a common ability to sense your kind of through your higher self lens or through your dharmic lens. It's a more evolved way of feeling into people. So I think if we discuss, if we talk about the average person who is dating inside the city, or someone who hasn't developed their intuitive capacities to that extent, or haven't contemplated it, they need to use certain markers or criteria, right? Because this is a more qualitative element. I agree with you. I think that's it's it takes everything in life. If we're able to spot it intuitively and know that this is part of our path and it's related to our soul's mission in this lifetime, we would have lived a much happier life as a collective, as society. But I definitely agree. Like, this is the ultimate.
I think I
would like to also add one point.
Yeah, sure. Go for it.
Because I just had a sort of, I just remembered one thing, is that notice how in our society, in our current society, we have such huge access to products, right, which are so easily changed, that we imply the same sort of mindset sometimes to relationships. So, like, just look back onto your, grandparents. They wouldn't divorce over an argument. They would like, have children and go on for the rest of their lives, because the mindset was different. It was, how can we repair it? How can we improve it? How can we work through it?
So it was also a different world.
It was a different world.
Yeah.
But I think in today's society, we're so used to, having something broken, so it's easier to change it to something else, rather to work on it and repair it, like really give your heart into it. Then we sometimes seep this, mindset into relationships.
Right.
So it's it's an invitation to remember that the power is in creating, and creation takes time to build with a lot of effort, a lot of vulnerability, consistency, honesty, being truthful. Seeing the partner. Of course, there might be a chance of breaking up at some point. You shouldn't think about it. That's not the matter of the decision here. This decision should be more focused on what's the best action I can take right now to improve this relationship. to have a more healthier balance in this relation, the equilibrium, how to find the equilibrium. And usually it takes
and
effort.
I actually have an interesting question regarding that. I'm curious to hear what you think. So, you know how some people are quite loyal and they prefer longer term relationships, while others prefer to experiment and try and travel. So do you guys think, or do you have like a map of, where we could think of a map of how many, like those primary archetypes that we see in dating? Like the experimenter, the stable one, and then what are the drivers behind it? Like, because I think, and I kind of feel like I've been wearing those different hats across my life, and it seems that there are certain blind spots that we operate out of. For example, if you're the experimenter type, sometimes we're not ready to commit, so we have a fear of attachment, or a fear of exposing ourselves, or a fear of vulnerability. While at the other hand, like if we just lock into relationships too early in our lives, during our teens or what have you, then we lack the developmental kind of experimentation and feeling into different relationships, right? Because we need experimentation. Otherwise, it's just ideas. It's just philosophy. So, yeah, I would like to ask you guys, first of all, which categories do you see in this outside of the experimenter and the long-termist? And where would you put yourself on this if you had to choose an archetype?
We can.
I think there are many archetypes such as these, but I think these two are the primary ones that we see today. I think these are generally the primary ones, although I'm not too sure about it. Yeah, I would consider myself as being more stable, like mindset-wise, because I do like to think in terms of growth, of stability, of not necessarily a family. I'm not looking for it right now, but generally my approach to life is something which is, how can we enforce it? How can we reinforce it? How can we build it? How can we regenerate it together? Right? This reciprocity. But at the same time, of course, you have some, the player mindset sometimes comes into play, and that's the tough balance. I mean, for many males, there's the whole thing of cheating. I mean, that's a whole different conversation, right?
But before we go on to there, I'd love to also get Claudia's opinion on that.
What was the last thing you actually did? I was just thinking of something when you just mentioned before you mentioned cheating. Well, can you just repeat that again?
I said
you said that the player archetype.
Okay.
So there's
and like, so how that sometimes that comes on.
Yeah.
I generally find that, like, if you've got some like character to you, some, like, what's the word I'm looking for? Some not righteousness. Righteousness is not the right word, but if you've got some character to you, let's just
honor.
Let's call it honor, for lack of a better word. And you meet like a girl who, it's like, to you, I mean, for me, the woman I marry, I have to deeply admire her. She, to me, has to be a gift to our future children. Has to be a gift of mine to my future children, as well as a gift to me. It has, so I will perceive her as a gift. And if you're developing this sort of like deep relationship with this person, like a friendship, like to the point where you could actually become best friends, because often in times when the connection is deep in a relationship, it does lead on to that sort of relationship, because we're not talking about average relationships here. We're talking about something deep and meaningful. And I find that when you with a girl like that, and those girls are rare, but when you find them, like, the idea of cheating.
Here comes the assumption. These girls are rare. Sorry. Go on.
I mean, maybe they're not, but maybe it's rare. It's definitely rare for them to exist and be available at the same time. Does that make sense?
Yeah. Well, I think the older you get, the more scarce it becomes, because.
Sure. Yeah. And so the idea of wanting to cheat, like, if you found one of these girls and the relationship environment is mainly harmonious, bro, the thought of cheating doesn't even come on. That stuff that doesn't even come on. You know?
Mm-hmm.
And I find that generally it does, because we're going for girls that are like every other girl. Like, oftentimes girls that, I mean disrespectfully, but like ain't shit. And there's a lot of girls like that out there. The girls that ain't shit. And so guys see that. They see what they are. And it's like, you're just another girl. Like, you're not that. So that naturally will come on. Yeah.
I think it's the value of a person. Like, it's
A
existent
valuable person, yeah.
in men and women as well.
And it's not,
like, what do you bring to the table?
Yeah, it's not to say that valuable people don't get cheated on, because that's not true as well, of course.
Of course, yeah.
But it's far less likely to come on. And if you're a decent human being, especially, and the state of the relationship is harmonious, I don't see how it can even come on. Do you know
well,
what I mean?
I'll bring up quite a controversial topic. But what if you would be able to find a balance in a relationship, a healthy relationship? You know, when you, with your desires and you know, cravings, you know, like biological needs sometimes, down the line, you know, 5-10 years into a relationship, propose, and you know, you have all these swinger parties. You know, it's existent. You know, it's not like it's not out there.
How do we come on to the topic of swinger parties?
Because it's quite controversial, you know, because we look at cheating as a binary thing. It's like either you sleep with somebody else or not. But what I find sometimes is that, and again, it's of course it's a very nuanced and contextually defined topic, but cheating or being with another person, exploring different bodies, you can put it this way, is not necessarily cheating. You can be in a very loving relationship. Actually, the trust level can be so high that you're okay with your girlfriend, you know, having a party every once a year. And I see you. Because I don't see it as a limiting factor.
Interesting.
You know, because I just put myself in those shoes. Of course, I'm not a cheating person. I never cheated and I never will. I'm a very, very trusty person. But at the same time, I understand that if I'm with an honest, loving girl, it doesn't mean that I'm gonna use this, you know, this right? But she would be open to the idea that, you know, I might go someday with somebody else for a night off.
Interesting.
And just enjoy myself and come back to a loving mother, to a loving wife, because that's my purpose. My purpose is not to cheat and, you know, then you know, to continue with her. My intention is to not create shadow in a relationship. My intention is not to suppress my own needs. My intention is, because if I suppress my own needs, you know, I can do it, right? But what will happen along the way is I might, you know, again, I'm not talking personally about myself, but like generally what might, you know, happen as a consequence is that you develop some resentment towards this person, as though she's holding you back from, you know, going out there and having fun, or, you know, exploring other people, or, you know, it's starting to become boring and stale. So again, it's very contextually, you know, appropriate. Like, you know, in every relationship is different, I understand. But I think it's an area for those with a curious mind, for those who are, you know, trusting enough in their partner along the way. I think it's something that is worthwhile to explore, if it comes to the point of, like, you know, either that or we're breaking up. So yeah,
it's interesting.
Well, I think that if we talk about authenticity, if we talk about honesty, if we talk about these topics, it's not just in the good times. You know?
Yeah.
Like, you got to be honest at every case. If you are hiding parts of yourself, and that depends on the person, because we all operate out of a certain paradigm, out of a certain condition, out of a certain, you know, way of life that we subscribe to, our philosophy. So something like this could be completely unacceptable to someone who is a more conservative mindset, and could be completely acceptable to someone who is much more liberal towards polyamory, for example. And there's no right answer and there is no wrong answer, fundamentally. So I think the question is, like, on the sliding bar, if you are compatible, if you and your partner are compatible, and your definition of coevolution includes experimenting with polyamory, but again, it comes with a lot of inherent assumptions, of course. Like, it's just polyamory. No, there's, like, a lot of energy involved in that, and there's, you know, it's easier said than done. But at the end of the day, I think, you know, what we really have to ask ourselves is, why do we even want to be in a relationship? Like, why are we even looking? Or looking is not the right word. I'm a person who's never looked for a relationship, and I've also never had a lack. And the relationships somehow came to me without necessarily, okay, at some points maybe I was more active and looking, but for the most part, I was just focusing on my own lane. And that brought people who wanted to be along for the ride. And, it's like everyone has his own approach, but I often find that, yes, we're social beings, and yes, we want to be around people and we want to have a deep partner, but oftentimes it's expressed out of a need to fill the void, like you said, or fill that lack, instead of where the other option would be, in my view, the more inspiring one is I've reached my potential, and then the path of life calls me to integrate another partner to evolve myself even farther and burn away more blind spots. So it doesn't come out of lack, it comes from an overflowing of capacity to then say, hey, here's another person to co-evolve with. So I'm just curious to hear your guys' thoughts, because I often, it's like, oh, I need this person and you need me and I need you. And it's like, let me fill you up and you fill me up. Wow.
That's the whole idea of interdependence.
So
And
maybe you can mention a little bit about that.
Yeah, so
like the difference between dependency versus
I'd just like to add something on what you guys have been touching on. That it's actually a very common idea these days. What you guys are touching on. Is that my phone? It is. My bad. So it is actually an interesting, very common idea these days, but it's one that I don't know why. Like, I don't know why. I totally cannot relate to, like, at all. I can't accept it either. Like, I want to find, because for me, I want to find the true way to find a deeply harmonious state within me where I am with a woman without desire for others. That is the true spiritual path. That is the true, and that's what I look for in a partner. It's my ultimate growth, and your ultimate growth is internal, is your own internal state. So I want to find that deeply harmonious state where I am deeply in love with a woman who completely eliminates all need for any other woman. Yeah, does that make sense? That is my goal.
Of course, and I do agree with it. When I'm talking about these topics, I don't refer to polyamory. Honestly, I think polyamory is a very difficult thing to achieve. Having a good relationship with a few people, like, it's a full-time job. Honestly, like, I don't even know if it's existing, but some people make it. Good for them. Good luck. But look, if the situation doesn't call for it, I don't think it's necessary to even open what I said, right? It shouldn't even come to the relationship if there is no need for it. I'm saying if the need arises, and not because you're a child and like, oh, I want to go play out, come on, you're limiting me. It's more about like, hey, it's been 10 years, I'm feeling that, everything is great between us. It's like, it's so good, you're such a best friend of mine that I'm comfortable in coming to you and saying, well, you know what, I would like to go for a night out, like, just to have fun, remember the old days, sort of thing. Okay. And it doesn't come with a negative connotation of like, I can't hold myself and I need to go out and bust a nut. It's more about being open with yourself and with your partner to be able to talk about these sensitive topics, right? I do believe in a partner for life. I do truly believe in it. Like somebody that, not fulfill, but, a co-partner for this, the growth of life, walking this journey, raising a family, building something, an empire together, like a small empire within a house. Yeah, I truly believe in that. Yeah, it's an interesting idea that is shared by a lot of people. Actually, more people, so commonly these days. But yeah, it was a
nice run.
Yeah, let's move on to the next topic of discussion because we're just starting actually. So yeah, we've actually covered quite a bit. I liked what we just talked about, by the way. Like, it was an interesting dynamic.
Well, maybe I would like to ask you a question then.
Yeah, go for it. Go.
So you've been dating quite a while.
I've been single now for 3 years. Yeah.
Yes,
3 years.
single.
For the first time in my life, but between the age of 15 till 30. So I've been single now for how long?
Should I post your IG or your phone number below?
That wasn't the intention. No, but go on.
But you have been dating here. I've seen you with some girls, mostly foreign. So I just wanted to ask you, what are your thoughts on local girls?
On local girls, it's an interesting question because I'm a local. I'm from Madeira. And so it's actually a really good question because why don't I date?
Don't spoil our place.
So,
no.
Yeah, and so it's a good question. Why don't I date other Madeirans or other Portuguese people? I learned a statistic recently that just made so much sense to the whole dynamic of the entire question. Did you know that the highest rate of divorce in the world is in Portugal at 90%?
Oh yeah, I
And
heard about it. Yeah,
That's
bro.
true.
Yeah, 90% divorce
yeah,
rate.
it's wild.
90.
No way. Is that for real?
It's for real, bro. So it's obvious. It's, to me, it's clear. One thing is clear: we really don't get along. You know? We really don't get along because it's unreal.
It's so weird because I thought that Portuguese people are often they come from conservative households and they retain the
No,
relationship.
apparently, it's just toxic as fuck.
Whoa, crazy.
So
How many of these 90% are homicides?
homicides.
How many of them are homos?
Well, that's an even better question. And so, yeah, so we clearly don't get along. And
Have you tried though?
have I tried?
Yeah.
Yeah, I've tried one time. Actually, once, yeah. And I just, yeah, it didn't last long. It was just like, because the toxic dynamic came on, and immediately I just said, I'm not doing this.
Why do you think that? What do you think the wound is there in that relationship, or in that dynamic that you expressed of having over 90% divorce rates?
Well, it's that whole unhealed, immature sort of like internal dilemma that's going on, and a lack. I don't know if it's lack of awareness or just you know how often sometimes people just unconsciously act out of hurt.
Of course, yeah.
And so I think that's what's just going on, and like there's a willingness to sort of like, I want to fix this, but then like he'll do something and it's like, okay, like you're sort of like, so it's just perpetuating that sort of dynamic from both sides. And to be honest, I think also there's just, if I look at sometimes, especially very often on a men's side here in Madeira, it's usually like there's a lot of like deep negative things going on, like addiction and sort of like untamed, wild restraint, like seeing like, you know, wanting to fuck everything that moves. You know, there's just this all like deep like
animal drives.
Yeah, animal drives just going on, and it's uncontrollable. And there's even like there's a lot of lying, and when that whole, like, you know, this is
really
a person.
So that's kind of from talking to people, or is
this
that
is from observation in the Portuguese sort of like.
But you heard some stories. I
yeah, I've had lots of stories, and I've witnessed this as well. So when all of this is going on, then it's very difficult to come out of it. It's all you know. You know, it's your entire world, and most people actually, like, souls actually evolve quite slowly. Like, a lot of souls evolve quite slowly because there's this unwillingness to step out of you know, your little world. And, you know, unless you're a human being who has like recognized, okay, this is my world, and you're trying to expand this world as much as possible. Once you've expanded this world so much, then you can start. Then you have a much, let's say, a much deeper perspective of the world, right? And then you can grow from there.
Yeah, of course.
And there's obviously, but this, if we're honest, that's actually a very uncommon trait, right? This willingness to expand as a human being is a very. Otherwise, this would be a better world, wouldn't it? We would just be living in a much better world. True. So,
I also think, back to you, what you said, is there's an interesting inverse correlation between age and importance of looks, unless you're looking at Russian oligarchs. But
Age and
for the most part, like, we grow up or from adolescence, and I just think that in Western society we lack the initiatory mechanisms for men to go through a maturation process. So there's this mindset of adolescence that's still
Yeah.
operational through, like, all that old grown up men, that by this time, anyway, they just haven't gone through the completed their developmental process. And well, but in the average case, the older you get, the looks stop mattering. And of course evolution supports it, because the bodies stop looking as good, but still something remains. So like you said, or
I think the eyes just become worse, you know,
it's
with
like
age.
it's like the lion loses its teeth, but not its hunger for not its hunger.
right, because like over time the looks change, and
That's a good one.
it's impermanent. And I'm not talking about augmenting or using plastic surgeries. That's a different form of augmentation. But let's just take evolution. Like, we are, in our evolutionary growth curve, we are assumed to transcend selecting a partner by their looks. So over time, when you're 60 or 70, looks don't matter as much, but the same qualities of loyalty and trust and authenticity and warmth and open communication, these principles, they carry the boat. The looks are a nice extra in the beginning, but it's interesting to see that, like you said, we often chase looks, and that's a reflection of the state of consciousness that we operate out of, because that's the only thing we feel. We don't really feel the emotional compatibility or energetic or elemental compatibility, because we lack that depth as society, I believe.
Yeah.
And that's where we can't even step into the problem space or working in ourselves, because we don't even have those principal skills of forgiveness, of self-inquiry, of contemplation, of responsibility, of vulnerability. Like, these are skills that have to be taught to you by your parents, or in
I would say
school,
learned by experience
or
as
in
well.
your sangha later on. And these qualities often get or these tools often get kind of sidelined, and we focus on, maybe it's a function of social media platforms, and that's exacerbating the problem, and it's reducing the nature of relationships lower. So basically my whole argument is, if we want to choose the right partner, we need to at least accept that there is a developmental process that we want to go through.
I would say it differently. I would say, if you want to choose the right partner, think from a mindset of a 50-year-old. What would you be looking for? Honesty, kindness,
That's interesting. Yeah.
But it just makes sense, right? Because as you walk through life, you understand the deeper principles, the things that ever last. The things which are really important. Looks are impermanent. Fame, like status, all these stuff are impermanent.
Would you date a 5 out of 10? in this age, you're 25, you're 30. Would you date a 5 out of 10?
Well, depends about the compatibility.
Well, let's call other factors complete. Like, there is trust and there is a deep connection.
If God sent me my life partner, and she's a 5,
She's a 5.
what can I say? What can you say to destiny, right?
We should also add that 5 is a subjective term, right?
Yeah,
What
of
is a
course.
5 to us might be so.
Well,
calling
no
someone a 5
mustache,
doesn't make it an objective truth.
No mustache.
No mustache, right? But
Like,
that would be on a lower
no
end.
no armpit hair
No armpit
or
hair.
crazy bicep muscle.
Right.
Like,
What if she's like super hot, but she has armpit hair?
that's a 5. Yeah.
That's a 5. Oh,
For me, armpit hair takes off like 3 or 4
right.
points.
Yeah,
Maybe
that's
5,
true.
actually.
Actually,
Maybe even 6.
armpit hair will just make me vomit. To be honest.
Yeah. So, but yeah, in your reference, in your scale of reference,
I would marry a 6 if everything else was a 10.
nice.
Like, so looks are really important to me, but not as not as important as, it's not the most important thing, but
Yeah.
of course it is important. You know, attraction is essential.
Of course. Yeah.
And I do want to have beautiful kids as well, if I'm honest.
Yeah.
That's a good argument.
Yeah. Denmark, here we come.
Sweden.
Um,
Yeah, I think it's a valid point.
yeah.
I mean, yeah, you know, looks are superficial, and that's the whole problem with dating apps. You know, social media is that it only shows looks. You know, and we focus on it so much.
Actually, let's talk about it because you just opened this up. Yeah.
About what?
About dating apps.
Oh.
Because
just
I know,
yeah.
I know, and personally, I've met my current partner through a dating app as well, and I have to say they've gotten really the algorithms has gotten pretty good.
Oh man, I think you just got lucky.
No, for real. Like if I look at the girls I dated through the dating apps over the years, over 90, with whomever I had over 90 something % compatibility, like.
Oh, you mean these like ones?
Yeah. Okay.
With the
Okay. Cupid, for
percentages.
example, they got this 90s. They have a matching.
Like you answer a bunch of questions, and then you know just
The more
it just tells you how many percentages you have in common.
Interesting.
Yeah.
basically.
Like the more data you provide,
pretty
the
nice.
more they can score your compatibility. And it was over 90 something %. And in most, I think all cases actually, we proved to have an amazing chemistry and great conversations and compatibility for a relationship. But then, you know, I left the country and this and that. But I'm curious if you guys had a similar experience with dating apps or not.
Nothing too deep, honestly, in dating apps. I mean, I went out with a few girls. Honestly, almost every time it was really nice, but nothing lasted from it for me. But I just wanted. I mean, I brought it up as an example because.
But like as a yes or no, like as a would you suggest someone who wants to explore dating to download a dating app or no?
I think it's a good way just to put yourself out there. You know, just to put yourself in the shoes of somebody who dates.
And to get your heart broken.
And to get your heart broken.
Yeah.
Yeah, and to get some other stuff fixed
To
up.
get your mind totally destroyed.
Yeah.
I highly
I mean,
recommend.
that's the thing with heartbreaks, right? And that's a whole topic of discussion. But
if you want inspiration to write a romance novel.
Download Tinder right now. Here's the
Nice.
link. 20% discount for a premium. What about you, man? How did you? What's your experience like with dating apps over the years?
But I just wanted to say that it sort of conflates our focus. It conflates the notion of beauty with attraction. Now, okay, attraction, most of it for guys, at least for many guys, it's by the looks, right? But honestly, if you would break it down into the core values of it, like the core sort of principles that you want to build a relationship upon, looks will just be one of the one aspect of it. But in dating apps, just compiles everything into one singular thing, which is looks. So that's what I came just to say, that just forget about this notion of looks. Like, it's important, but it's not the main thing. Because the main thing you look for usually in a long-term partner is something way beyond that. It's the chemistry, it's the communication, it's the sex, it's the everything together, right? So
while we're on the topic actually of dating apps and looks, I watched a video not too long ago, and I've mentioned it already, but it's on the matrix of the hot to crazy chart, and it's basically where you find your wife. And so below a 5 to
but position the axis
so you have an axis here where this is, let's call this the hot. This is the crazy.
Yeah, that's the y-axis. The y-axis is the crazy. Yeah.
So this is the crazy, and this is the hot, right?
Yeah.
And so across this way, up to, let's say, anywhere across this way, the first bit of like up until a 5 to a 10, and the hotness to crazy. This is a no-go zone. This is we don't want nothing to do with this, right? With this, like
under 5 hot.
Under 5 hot,
nothing.
and crazy. Any on any spectrum of crazy, we don't care. Okay.
Okay.
And this is a guide on how to find your woman.
I see. Okay.
Right, for men.
I didn't see this chart.
And then, so on the other side of the axis, now you have the hotness from 5 till 10, and the craziness from 5 till 10.
And it
right?
shoots up.
Yes, and so towards the higher ends, this is where we want to be. We want to be on the below a 7 to 5 sort of like hotness to crazy. So 7 to 5 on a crazy level, and 5 to an 8 on the hotness level, right? This is where you find your wife.
No, I think that was the dating.
Was that the dating? That was the
I
dating.
think that was the dating. And
All
then
right.
8 over 10.
8 over 10, right? There was from 8 till 10 on the spectrum of was it 7 to 5?
Yeah, 5 to 7
5
on
to
the craziness.
5 to 7 on the craziness. So 8 to a 10 on a 5 to a 7 crazy. This is where you find your wife. This is the one, bro.
Yeah.
If you find her,
And then what happens? What happened between 8 and 10 on the hot spectrum and under 5?
So, but on the spectrum of the if she is below a 5 on a crazy level, and 8 to a 10 on the hotness, then that's a unicorn. They don't exist.
They don't exist.
If you find them, that's what the video goes on.
Oh man.
Anyway, so that's the spectrum we want to be on the.
It was a good video, man.
Would you say most people look for the same qualities?
Most people.
Yeah.
Okay.
I think it's a reflection of our inner consciousness, self-worth, and
right.
Let's put it this way. If from 100 people you have 10% which are ultimately embodying these values, these principles that we are looking for in a relationship, truthfulness, kindness, some badassness, sort of thing, like this combination of craziness and hotness. Would you say most people are shooting for these 10%? Like, would you say, and I'm not talking just about like looks, I'm talking more about like the, what are we looking for in a relationship? Now I understand that a lot, some people, not many, but some people go purely for the looks, and then
I think that also a lot of it is actually influenced by our parents. I've read a study
that is true. That is very true.
Our dating, we look for qualities unconsciously, qualities in our dating partner that are similar to our mom or our dad.
Yes.
So I think it's I don't think we're all aim for the same 10%. I think it's highly biased to say this way, and then it's highlighted by societal, whatever, beauty models or kind of what is beautiful or what is worthwhile. It's very hard to qualitatively assess like what are, maybe it was more anchored in it in the past. That's why in half of the world we still have arranged marriage, because the parents are more conscious, and they can perhaps give a more sober assessment of the person that you're going to marry.
I think these arranged marriages are usually more strategic sort of marriages.
I mean, in villages, I don't know if it's strategic, and
you give me 5 goats, I give you my daughter.
I think it's not like that, it's not like
I'm not sure.
Land
I really
math,
don't know
like
much about it.
You have 5 goats, I have 2 plots of land.
I think it's more like because it's an expansion of the family. It's like a tribe, as I see it at least. It's like an expansion of the tribe.
If you'd like a few wives, Adam, you might want to consider.
Oh yeah,
take a few goats with you.
Yeah,
bring home a few young wives.
Bring some goats, man.
No, but it's an interesting question, because it's like we said, it's also a question of self-worth. So if you're aiming for the top 10%, like I bet you that most of the people who feel that they're 6 or 7 haven't tried approaching 100 10 out of 10 girls, because they automatically price themselves out of that market. They say, no, that's too much for me, I'm going to go for a 6 or a 5. I want to be realistic. And that's why the compatibility score is higher. And of course you have a pretty direct correlation between looks and self-worth. The better people look, the more self-worth they have, the more compatible they become with better looking people.
Sometimes you often have people who are extremely good looking, actually, with a real low sense of self-worth,
right?
And that's sometimes it might even be linked just to the fact of where they are professionally in their career. It's just sort of like makes them feel insecure or whatever it is. And you'll see this often happen with very often. I'm not going to use the example of women, but I'll stick to men, because I more often see it in men, where you have extremely good looking guys
in the dating apps.
Extremely good looking guys who are dating let's call it a 5 and below, and you wonder why. And maybe that could be for
or vice versa. Or vice versa. So you have people who are less good looking, but they don't give a fuck. They're super confident.
Confident.
They carry themselves really well. They're funny, and they score a 9 out of 10 or 10 out of 10 girls.
Women are attracted to humor and confidence.
Yeah.
So It makes sense.
If you can make her laugh, you can make her do anything.
If you can make her laugh, you can kiss her. That's the saying.
No, you can make her do anything.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, that's a.
It's the old adage.
At least some of them. Yeah. It's a interesting.
I remember Johnny pulled this sentence in the middle of a group, and it was such a bad context to put it in because everybody just looked.
Where was it? I don't even remember.
I don't remember. I just remember this moment where it was like dead silence after you said it. I was like, "What did you just say?" Is that a thing? It's like a common saying sometimes, but sometimes people just don't know. Anyway, it's a common adage.
Well, let's maybe start asking some kind of final questions. So, what do you guys? What would you, just based on your experience? We're not preaching to the choir, but what would be some tips or some
tips and tricks?
What would be some tips that you would give people who are coming out to the dating scene, maybe even after being heartbroken or after being alone for some time or being addicted to porn or whatever the situation is? Because, of course, like we said, carrying a trustworthy and open a deep relationship also usually we're just kind of blind to it because we've been on a path of development for a long time, but it usually comes with a certain condition of being ready to face this relationship, being ready to face yourself, being ready to face your own intimacy, being ready to face all of your different sides and your shadows. So how would you what would you tell people who are going out to the dating scene, maybe not on an island, but going out in the city? Like,
I would
say remain detached. Just be comfortable with yourself. Like, learn to be comfortable with yourself. A no is not a no is. Oh man, I don't want it to sound bad. Like, I wanted to say a no is not a final answer, but not in this connotation. But it's like a no is just a no. That's what I mean. Like, a no is just a no. Go on, find yourself. Approach it more as like a game. Again, if you're going into the dating scene.
Yeah.
If you're
a no from a hoe is better than hitting your toe.
That is a good one.
Just make that up right now.
Yeah, I did.
That was good.
Yeah, sorry.
I forgot what I wanted to say.
Yeah.
That was a good one.
What was I gonna say? Just that.
You said something about said detaching is critical.
Yeah.
Like carrying yourself comfortably, coming back to self-worth.
So basically, essentially, what you're saying is you will meet your own inner state. That's what you're saying. In a way. So, you will often actually find your own readiness for love in someone else, like a reflection of your own readiness for love.
Yes.
Your own readiness for the person you're actually looking for. It's often what you'll find in the women and men that you date. But on your point of like, also I do also think it's important to develop the ability to be, let's say, detached from outcome and make yourself attractive enough as a person, energetically as well as physically, and then go out there and date.
I like what you said also. I mean, I don't know if that's exactly what you meant, but I think a true partner, somebody who is really compatible to you, like, will find you in a moment when you're interdependent, like when you're comfortable within yourself. Then this person will find you. It's like sort of this magnetism of life. This great instrument that we're in. You need to fine tune yourself, and then the person will align with you. Stop chasing, and you will attract. Basically,
right. Once you're
but get out there, go somewhere, do stuff,
Yeah.
Don't lock yourself at home.
Yeah.
If you lock yourself at home, I'm talking to myself here, man. In a small village. But yeah, it's so true, just like go out there, do some stuff.
Start conversations,
become more comfortable with yourself.
Just start conversations. What's the worst that can happen? We often forget that the other side is experiencing exactly the same feeling. But that it's even less socially acceptable for them to go out there. Yeah. So if you actually go out there and try, and I've done it, like experimented with it, literally walking up to girls and just chatting and just seeing what happens, and you realize like it's much easier than you think.
Well,
if you come out authentically, if you don't, prescript certain pickup lines, because that's, in my view, it's pretty weird. They don't like it. But if you just carry yourself and you compliment,
be ready to be embarrassed sometimes.
Well,
yeah,
but
to be awkward.
but you know what? Like I've always kept this in mind. I'm sorry, but
yeah, go ahead.
instead of having, no answers, it's better to try 100 times and get 90 times no. It's just the perseverance of being able to go through it. Instead of saying, well, I'll just hedge my I don't know what it is, the ego or my vulnerability, and I'll just avoid it until that person comes into my life.
Yeah.
Right. So it's sorry, just a complete loss. So damn, that just slipped out of my head.
We're so afraid to affirm our own insecurities. It's like we're so afraid that, once we hit this sort of wall of awkwardness or something, it's like we're gonna, oh no, I'm showing myself that I shouldn't have gone up to her, or that really reveals who I am inside. Like, no, man, it's just man, woman, whatever. It's just an experimentation. Like, don't judge yourself upon the outcomes. It's fine. You grow, you evolve. You only grow through experiencing. You only grow through, you're always going to be rusty in the beginning. No matter how you look at it.
So
right?
So it's essentially who you become in the process.
Yeah.
And one thing though, like the brain is actually very similar to a language module in a way. And so the more you get yourself out there and you're taking these harsh no's, and then you're learning to also deal with that harshness. So it eventually does make you more comfortable, right? And you're learning to regulate your own, soothe and regulate your own self and communicate with your own self. And so you're developing yourself in a way. And then eventually you do get better, and eventually you're like quite freaking smooth. You're quite free. You go from that point of like, damn, that was so terrible, to the point where it's like, whoa, this guy's confident. It's like knows, So you do develop yourself eventually, especially if you're developing yourself professionally, physically. You're training, you're reading, you're an intelligent guy. It's just about practice.
Yeah.
So,
and they're just and I'll just add that avoid the trap of comfort in the beginning. Like, it's so easy to get caught up in a relationship with someone who doesn't want to evolve, and then it becomes such an easy, comfortable relationship. And then by the time you realize that your true calling is to evolve and to grow and to go through rebirth cycles, but the other person is not ready for it, you're gonna have to face a trade-off. Right, you're gonna have to face either your own self-development, or the other person will have to agree to developing themselves as well. So I think recognize the potential of your partner or the person you're dating. After that, after you've did the basics, you went out there, you experimented. Now you can start a conversation with anyone you want. You have the confidence
might not fit everybody, right? Because some people do look for comfort. But there are a lot of people, I don't want to touch upon that too much because it's a conversation.
We're talking about a higher level of relationships.
Yeah.
Everyone has their free will.
Yeah.
But in general, I think...
But sometimes people get stuck in relationships. And that's a whole different conversations, right? But, sometimes we're afraid to, hurt our partner by breaking up, or we're so, afraid of even saying it out loud, or even doing that action of, that's not the right person for me. And if you feel this realization, coming from the bottom of your stomach, it's an intuition that sometimes it's not the right thing. It was a good episode. You learned a lot, but now it's over. So it's a courageous step. To some folks who are dealing with it might be the scariest thing they can do, right?
Guys, we've touched on a lot of stuff on today's episode, and I really loved everything that we covered. I really
Likewise.
did. I really loved today's episode and the way our dynamic was. But also, there's so many more things we could talk about. So many things we can discuss based around the subject. It's such a rich subject. But I believe we've been recording for over an hour, right?
Yeah, we're over an hour.
Yeah.
Actually,
we're late for the dinner, so
yeah, we have a dinner with our friends in our other place, and man, I've really loved what we recorded today. We need to do this again.
Yes.
This is by the way our 4th episode.
Ooh,
and
fourth?
believe it, we've recorded so many, but like only 4 are live actually.
Nice.
And there's a statistic that actually most episodes don't get past the 4th episode, or
really?
haven't. Don't make it to the 4th episode.
Ah, okay.
Most podcasts. Sorry.
Okay. So
So
thanks for pulling
So we're
through.
in the upper
so
quartile.
we're on the upper part now. We're on,
Hey.
on the successful.
Oh.
Hooray to that. Liberated minds.
Liberated
Liberated minds.
minds.
And I believe we're going strong, and
Good, man.
we're happy with what we're enjoying ourselves. We're happy doing this. This feels right. And if I think this is great for us, and we should keep it up. I'd love to record many more podcasts with you guys, and eventually bring in guests as well. I think
Yeah.
we're close to getting ready.
Yeah.
So who knows, man? Like this could be.
It's a great platform for sure.
Yeah, yeah.
Mhm.
I have a vision, but most of all, like, I'm in the moment, and I'm happy in this moment. This is,
Mhm.
this is it for me. This is it.
Yeah.
Awesome.
I'm like,
Mm.
I'm living in it already.
Mhm.
I am in it.
Yeah.
So, anyway, I just
We're in
feel-
it.
Yes,
Mm.
we're in it. We are in it. We're 100% in it. And yeah, it's a magical
Thank you
time.
so much for having us today again in this beautiful
Again.
house that we usually
Yeah,
sit in
yes.
somewhere on the island.
Very blessed.
Thank you,
And
guys.
yeah, thank you all for joining. This is probably we just keep getting better and better, and this
Yes.
is probably our best podcast so
Mhm.
far. And thank you all. Till next time.
Till next time.
Oh.
Awesome.
Doom, 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 doom.